So it's my basic understanding that today we're talking about mirrors.
Huh?
No.
I mean, not literal mirrors, but of course I'm referring to the common phrase, that which is above is like to that which is below, and that which is below is like to that which is above, which is a phrase that was literally the backbone in many ways of the possession tapes. And also, if you really think about it, is a phrase that really has been a thread to a lot of our work. Dweller, it has a lot to do with that. Even films like Afterlife that we did a few years ago that didn't really have much to do with the esoteric woo-woo stuff, was contingent and hinged on memory and nostalgia. So in that sense,
I'm
had a lot to do with reflection. So reflections in all sense, literal, metaphorical. That's really been
I just thought we're
at the
talking
core
about
of
attics and
all that
basements.
we do. If you let me finish. Today, we are taking reflections to a less woo-woo metaphorical space and instead grounding it and reflecting on our experiences literally above and literally below. What have we experienced in the classic, dare I say stereotypically, spooky attics and spooky basements of haunted locations across the Midwest?
That was a very eloquent and very roundabout way of bringing up attics and
That was really
basements.
good,
I had
actually.
no idea where you were going with that.
I
Mm-mm.
just really wanted to get
Like,
under Angela's skin. I knew she would get like very angry if I if
it's
I
like,
was the
oh, we're
one that didn't know the topic this time.
yeah, it's like, oh, we're talking about mirrors. It's like, no, 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 no. And then you're like, but in a sense, it's like, no, I mean, sure, I guess if you describe it like that, we're talking about mirrors, but no, we're talking about attics and basements.
Welcome to our podcast where we take deep dives.
Looking at various topics through a
Paranormal Lens.
All right, welcome to this exciting new episode of Paranormal Lens. Brianna, you're shaking your head. Is that towards me or your dog off screen?
neither it was towards my mother. So,
Oh,
Oh, I thought it was gonna be towards
oh,
me for a second.
oh! All of us were wrong. Huh. That's the theme of this episode so far. Is like we're setting something up, like we think we know how something's gonna go, and it's just not how it goes.
Not how it goes at all.
hmm
Attics and basements.
attics and basements.
So, did you guys have a creepy attic or a basement, um, either in your house or your grandparents' house or like anyone's house when you were a
No,
little kid? No one you
no.
I
knew
al-
had a
I
creepy attic or
was always
basement.
creeped out by um my grandma's basement and my parents' basement. For
I
no
For no
neither
reason, you
my
said?
I don't there's not really any
Oh,
reason why I was
you
creeped out.
just
I just was every time I went down there. It's like
neither
that.
my house or my grandparents' house has a basement or an attic. Um, well, where I live in Michigan, it is very sandy, so most houses do not have basements. We have crawl spaces.
Yeah.
Um,
that's even worse. I feel like
yeah,
that's
Yeah,
but
but
like,
like,
people aren't really going in crawl spaces on a
no,
daily.
yeah,
Like a
yeah.
but there's
basement or an attic,
spiders.
maybe.
Yes, there are spiders, but it's like I don't go down there. Like it's fully sealed off. I mean, one of the entrances to it is in my bedroom, but
Oh no.
that's
Do you hear
besides
like
the point.
thumping? Do you ever hear
No,
like something knocking from the inside? No, okay.
no.
I'm
Okay,
just
can you at least admit that if that ever happened as a kid, you would be scared of basements and crawl spaces?
Mm, I would say no because a lot
You're
of
tough.
critters can get into my crawl space. So
animals
I
always find a way
would
in.
probably chalk it up to an animal being in my basement
Bree was
or
born a
crawl space.
skeptic.
I was born in northern Michigan.
Um,
Northern Michigan girl.
did you know about CWD? Like the not deer disease?
As a
when you
child,
when you were like
yes.
3 years? Really?
Yeah.
How young did they give you a gun?
I'm gonna refrain from answering that
Oh,
question.
is there like a legal age?
Actually, I don't know.
That's why she's not gonna
Honestly,
say. Just
Okay,
in
okay.
because
case.
I mean, I've been shooting BB guns forever. Um,
My dumbass sorry said baby guns.
I can't
Yeah,
even figure out how to shoot a Nerf gun. I don't think I do well.
a Nerf gun? Girl.
No,
Next,
actually, I did shoot a gun once before, and like it wasn't hard. I just didn't like it. But it was also
next,
a big like rifle gun, and I think if it was a handgun, I would have enjoyed it more.
next time you're up, we'll give you some experiences.
Oh
you
heck
you, you
yeah!
want to
Let
hear
me
something
try it again.
embarrassing?
What?
Uh, when we did our public ghost hunt at Festival of Oddities this year, I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't figure out how to use a temperature gun.
I think we're all just like bad at using guns.
Except for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. Bria's good
Anyways,
with all her weapons.
uh, anyways,
yeah, we'll move on from this. People are petrified of Brianna now. With all of her weapons that she stores in her haunted, not haunted, totally not creepy, totally not infested with spiders and critters crawl space she has in her bedroom.
that is not where they're stored.
I said they're totally not.
Yeah, they're totally not,
Um,
We're gonna think they are though.
but they aren't.
they aren't.
I actually can't even get into the crawl space like without a lot of effort because my desk is literally sitting on top of it. So I have to move my whole desk, which you guys know, it has a lot of stuff on it and it has a massive shelf with a lot of fragile things on it. So it takes 2 to 3 people to move that desk to even get into the crawl space.
Is that to keep you out or something in? That's so
Yes.
creepy.
No,
That's like
it was just the way
it's like
that
Scooby Doo, you know, coming out of the crawl space. That's something they do in Scooby Doo. They put a desk, all the clutter, the shelf on top of the desk. You know, it's right out of a old cartoon.
yeah,
I
it
can hear
was
the
just the
monkeys.
convenience of the layout for my room that is where my desk ended up. And like I thought maybe the space where the chair goes was wide enough to be able to still access the crawl space, and it turns out it's like 2 inches short. So it's like just almost not an inconvenience to get in there. But oh
So
well. Anyways.
pivoting away from the cartoonishly horrific setup you have with your haunted, not storage for weapons, crawl space. Um, Angela, circling back, um, you said you were scared of two basements as a kid for no reason. I think there might be
There
a
really isn't.
reason, perhaps psychologically, because a lot of people are scared of the creepy, dark, cold basements below their homes.
Mm-hmm.
We were just, Brianna, Angela and I just hopped on a really quick preliminary investigation for a local haunted place a couple days ago,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't have a basement. So, but stick
They
with
got an
this because
attic though.
they got an attic. But stick with this because it's going to be really relevant to what I'm going to set up here. But this property started off as just like a one room kind of garage makeshift like workspace, and then over time, as people started to live there and kind of turn it into their home, and they started expanding. So like every room literally was not there in the previous iteration of it. So there was like one room for many years and like two rooms for another couple years. Um, so it's kind of like a hodgepodge of like materials and kind of building designs. And there is this weird effect I started noticing where it was like the thresholds of the rooms. I was getting kind of like off balance, kind of just like
Mm-hmm.
feeling a little weird
Mm-hmm.
as well. And apparently that's a common report there. We were able to
Hmm.
disprove a lot of these feelings people were getting because I started to notice that each room was just barely different in terms of temperature. Just the way it was
Mm-hmm.
designed, just you don't think about like the smallest things and differences in how they built each room. One room was like 60 degrees. The other room, you cross over and literally you take 2 steps and now it's 62 degrees. And you take 2 more steps and it's 57 degrees. So the differences are so small, but and subtle, but psychologically, somehow you are picking up on it. You do realize these things. And even when one room that used to be like the garage space, when the wind blew outside, you can kind of feel a slight draft of air that you didn't feel in the other rooms. So all these things, changes in temperature, different sloping of the ground, different ways the light comes in, all these things have an impact on you psychologically, which I think happens in a lot of basements that, you know, they're colder, they're darker, they're underground, literally.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these things could play into psychologically, especially as a kid, why these areas tend to be spookier
Yeah.
and creepier.
I mean, it goes into like humans like innate fear of the dark and being in a basement where you're underground. Most of the time the windows aren't very don't give off enough light or sometimes no
There's
light.
no windows.
So
Yeah.
there is that inherent fear of the dark that makes things scarier.
Yes.
And that's like I don't, how I've talked about doing investigations at night in the past. It's not necessarily that they're more active. It's just the dark is scarier. So
Our
Yeah.
senses are more
our
heightened.
yes, exactly. Our heightened, oh my God, our senses are more heightened. My brain is malfunctioning.
Well, and your heightened self your higher self is as equal to and equivalent as your lower self. As above, so below, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Just a
Mm-hmm.
tie-in to the beginning. But anyways, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Angela, much like you, grown up, it sounds, was a tough cookie and wasn't scared of the dark or scared of the basements.
Oh no,
Um,
I was.
oh, you were. You said there's no reason why you were scared of the basement. That's a pretty
There
obvious
is no
reason.
reason, but I
But
was.
you being scared of the dark is a pretty big reason why you might have been scared of the
I
basement.
don't think that's a good reason to be scared because
Oh,
I
you
would
don't
walk
know
around the
the
house
the impacts
and
of
when it's dark and I'm not scared in like other rooms, but then going downstairs it's just different story.
no, that's it. It's
I think
literally
it's
a different
also that
story. You're away
that
from everyone. You're alone. You're underground. You went below. Everything I talked about the changes in temperature,
the
floor might
stale
be
and
sloped,
stagnant air.
stale and stagnant
Still
air.
stagnant.
That darkness is perhaps darker and has more of an impact on you, and you're alone, and you're in the basement. You don't know or I mean, we know to some level, but I don't think any of us understand really the impacts of, depriving one of your senses like sight, being in the dark. That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yeah.
Next time I call you a tough cookie, you should just say, "Yeah, I was tough like
I'm
that."
not a tough cookie though. I chicken out. It was a lot of things. Remember when we were at the coffee shop and we were all going to be splitting up and you're the only one that was up in the attic.
Yeah, you're talking about this coffee shop we investigated, and they have this attic that's like
Yeah.
super creepy. A lot of like footsteps and noises.
Jeez.
But you know what else I noticed in this coffee shop attic and in all attics?
Hmm.
Wow.
They're dusty,
Yeah.
Yes.
What
which means
about
there's a
that?
lot of ghosts flying around.
Oh,
Oh,
yes. Mm.
orbs. Yes.
Orbs.
Anywhere with dust tends to be more haunted
Yes.
because, Brianna,
Are
Well,
you wanting me to say orbs?
yeah, I just don't want to go
Okay.
on my soapbox again, so please
Yeah,
go
handle this
back to
one.
because
the orbs
well,
episode if you want to
yes,
hear our
because
rant about it.
like or yes, if you haven't listened to the orbs episode, I think it's episode number 3 or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, give that a listen, but essentially the gist of it is that orbs we highly do not believe in them. They are 98% of the time probably a lens flare or a speck of dust that is reflecting the light from your camera. So, um, dust is not a ghost.
No.
Hence, orbs are not ghosts.
Unless you see it with your own eyes as a
Yes, unless
kind of
you're
a different
if you're
thing.
seeing it with your own eyes, if it's um putting out its own light, that's different. But if you're just only capturing an orb on a camera and nothing else, it is more than likely not paranormal.
Yeah.
And this is
There's
why
going to be a lot of people who disagree with us about that.
I send it over to Brianna because she's a lot nicer than I would have been. As you can tell, and just listen to episode 3. I go on my soapbox. Brianna says it's most likely not. If you only saw it on a camera, it's not paranormal. But we'll move on. Anywho, um, it stands to reason then that these places that are dark and creepy and dusty, you're already scared. You're most likely thinking every dust particle is a ghost. Places like these tend to be more haunted, even if they're not actually filled with legitimate hauntings. People, this creepiness and this general attitude about these spaces really resonates and it lingers and legends
hmm
form.
That's true. Yeah.
People also say, have you heard this, Bree? They say this on a lot of the shows that like attics and basements might be more haunted because like no one really goes in them, so the ghosts like to get away from the people, they go hide in the attic.
I actually haven't heard that before, but like I feel like if you're not a more experienced investigator, that is what you would think.
They
I
say
think
that
that
all the
it
time
could,
on
but it
shows.
could make sense.
You
I'm
think?
not saying that's necessarily,
I like it
but
it
it
makes
could
it makes
happen. It could.
sense, but like if you're kind of us or specifically you, Ben, where you think most um interactions with ghosts are not a residual, then it doesn't make sense for a residual haunting to be in a basement or an attic because they're trying to get away from us.
Yeah.
hmm
So
But if you believe there's more than just a residual haunting
it is
and
possible
it
that
got
they could
free
be hiding out
will,
in a
they may.
basement or an attic. Yes, you that so it's
That's interesting.
eh,
That's a good set. I never really thought of it that way. Of it's gotta be an energy that is so not it's beyond just an intelligent haunting then because it knows. Okay, how about I frame it like this? Take a step back. How many times do we get responses seeming to indicate that like the spirits need energy, right? This
mm-hmm.
is such a powerful entity then, and so intelligent definitionally that it not only knows you're there, it knows where all the people are, and it's so confident enough to be like, nah, I don't need or want any of that energy. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
away as
Yeah.
far it's repelled from energy. How does that
You
make
know,
sense?
yeah, that reminds me of literally Kenyon's resort when we investigated there because the ghost or the entity that we were interacting with that was down there in the basement and earlier in the night we had gotten a response or reply from someone to not interact. Don't go near them. They just don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah, it was weird. It specifically said this entity's name, and then it said, "Don't go in the basement. He's chilling down there. He doesn't want to be disturbed."
Well, we ended up finding this supposed entity later, and he was in the basement in a back room, way off in the back in like the darkest area.
hmm
And it was a really cool interaction because like whatever was back there was setting off our cat ball in response to some of our questions.
After putting this motion-activated ball at the end of this room, we started receiving responses across multiple devices, asking us to turn off this camera light we had set up on it. Nothing bad, just felt like we were invading his privacy. But as soon as we turn off this light, move the camera back, and envelop this room in darkness, the ball starts going off. We noticed it hasn't gone off at all. What's
Okay.
back there?
Man, chill out for 1 second, okay? Wait.
Something is moving this ball, triggering it to light up.
And then we had literally went to go recover the cat ball, and the picture of that individual was right there in the hallway.
Like
Yeah,
right in
and
the
we
hallway
hadn't
leading to
realized
the
it.
room.
And we didn't know.
Yeah.
Then it had said their name right there, and we had never looked at it before. So for us to get that name and also have it be like corroborated, like it just was wild.
Because we went on a wild goose chase through the whole building. We were upstairs, like 2 floors up, and
yeah, we were on the second floor when we got this person's name, and then it wasn't until like 2-3 hours later that we had went into the basement and had that interaction.
Yeah,
It was
and
a good hot second till we had
it
that.
led us right to where they said he was just chilling because he didn't want to be around anyone.
Yeah.
And we
So
just happened to, all the devices led us right there. We're like, okay, we'll take, your word on it, spirit, and we put down a cat ball, and didn't even realize until after.
yeah, yeah. It was
I thought you were gonna talk about their creepy attic because they also had, I think, the
that
most
the
haunted.
attic was really weird.
The attic was so it was less scary with the lights on. I will say that.
No, the
because
first time
I
we
did
went
have
up
to
there
do
was terrifying.
the
though,
first time we went
honestly.
up there, something had led us up there, and like I remember when we got up to the attic, we were doing a back and forth conversation. Like I think I was using spirit the dowsing rods. We had a cat ball sitting in front of a mirror up there, which that mirror creeped me out.
Well, we
And
we
Wait,
had
no,
the
no, no.
feeling like
Time out. We're not talking about mirrors, you said today.
no, we're talking about the attic, but the mirror was in
Okay.
the attic, and it
mirror
just
was in the
but
attic.
I kid.
just all of a sudden I've only had this feeling one other time, and it was at Howell Opera House. I was staring at the back wall of the attic, and all of a sudden, I just got this overwhelming feeling that something was standing there and coming towards us. And I couldn't describe it because I wasn't seeing anything, but
Mhm.
everything in my body said something is standing there and is coming at you.
Coming towards us, yeah.
Exactly. And it freaked me out. Like, I've never had that feeling, like I said, other than at Howell Opera House when I was walking down the staircase and felt like there was something behind me and turned to look. And even though I didn't see anything, my body responded and acted like something was there.
Stronger
That
than
it's,
adrenaline.
well, it was a surge of adrenaline,
Yeah.
essentially. That, oh my God, I just saw something that scared the living hell out of me, but I didn't actually see anything. There was nothing there. But my body reacted like something was there.
Yeah. We all
So,
reacted like
but
that.
and we all felt like that.
Because we were also all looking towards that specific area of
like
the attic. We were like, something's right there.
We were all mid conversation, stopped and looked at this one area, and all just got this overwhelming feeling like something was suddenly there. That
Yeah.
was just the craziest, but nothing nothing was there. I think the cat ball did start like freaking out and going off at that point in front of the mirror. And I
Yeah.
think also at that point I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'm going downstairs. I'm over this.
I think I got a sense when the cat ball was going off, like it was feeding off our energy because we started freaking out, then it freaked out, and then we freaked out
Yeah.
more, and then it freaked. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it was detecting like our response, like our
Yeah.
very real response.
But I'm the person who had to do that solo in the attic that
Oh.
night. Yeah.
That
How
is
did
I
we
lost
determine that? Oh, we did Jenga.
it was Jenga.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was Jenga.
I
did our
lost Jenga. Mhm.
and
And I ended up going to the attic, but we were going to video
I was gonna say,
calling.
yeah, we were gonna do a
So
live podcast recording, but the internet was so bad we
It was
couldn't. So
terrible.
you
Yeah.
did a solo up there for nothing.
Yeah, literally, but I wasn't by myself. I had my friends and I turned the lights on and it was fine up there, honestly. It did not have the same feeling, it did not have the same vibe. Like it was so different up there. And I mean, at that point, I think it was probably around midnight, 1 o'clock. And I think earlier when we had been in there, it was shortly after we had gotten to Kenyans.
Kenyans in general, it's this incredible little
It's a
bed and
great
breakfast.
place.
Has incredible ties and very historic ties to the Purple Gang, and they actually pulled out like um actual Prohibition era bottles and artifacts from the walls. So it's not like just one of those places where they say, "Oh, the Purple Gang pet." No, they actually like they had Prohibition era shit in the walls. So like, how do you
Yeah.
explain
Didn't
that?
didn't
They
Um,
each
had like the old secret passages and as
yeah,
well, and they also showed us where they had like a drop away floor um that went to the basement too.
yeah,
So
and
there's
each room was named after a Purple Gang member or a
or famous
not
gangster
just
in
a Purple
general.
Gang.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
And
all
didn't
these gang. Al Capone. There's a jailhouse room too, like all decked out like a little jail cell. Any final thoughts on attics and basements? I know this might be on the shorter end, but
Do
um,
you guys have any other attic basement experiences that you want to share?
I
nothing
just thought this was a good
specifically.
excuse to talk about Kenyans. That's like the prime example. I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked about the basement morgue of Stimson Hospital ad nauseum. We've talked about
Yeah,
the
we've talked
attic.
about the attic in Madison multiple times. So I
Tying
There,
don't
it
think
back
we've ever
there's
to
talked about the basement in Madison, but like,
that that
you
place
know,
with
is
that
haunted all
whole
it is
over.
also
the
it
well.
has the hole
Yeah.
Yeah.
where someone was potentially buried and
Another
was
spot he did a
confirmed with
solo.
cadaver dogs, but also wasn't confirmed, but
Have you
yeah.
noticed that you do solos? Because you did a solo there too.
I
You
also did a solo
yeah.
there and I volunteered for that. I don't know why I volunteered for that. I don't know why my brain said that was a good idea, but I'm like, this will make for good content. And I'm an idiot and I hated it.
All right.
Forgot about that.
Do a
uh
solo in a better place.
yeah,
Volunteer
I
for
don't
like I don't know. What's a good place? What's the place that's like safe and mad? I don't know. Not I mean the whole
um
place is safe, but everywhere's haunted.
yeah, no, I don't I'm never going to volunteer for a solo.
Do you
I
know?
I do not mind if I get a solo. I have to have that extra push of encouragement to do it, but I will never volunteer. That's why I think doing Jenga is a good way to make decisions on who does
It,
solos
it,
because
Have
it's anyone's game.
I
have
have
we
a
talked
full on
about that
panic attack every time I do a Jenga.
have we talked about on the podcast how we like
I think we've mentioned it.
I
okay,
think we have mentioned
I'll
it
mention it
before.
again just in case there's anyone new, but we have this colored Jenga, um, and we bring on investigations, and whenever we need like a break or some like levity, we'll play Jenga and like we'll assign each like color of the pieces to like a different haunted place. And if you lose the Jenga, if you make all the pieces fall, whatever color it was that you pulled that caused the tower to collapse, you have to go to that haunted location and do a
Hmm.
solo.
Hmm.
That's our little
So,
game. You
I
know, it's
think I have only ever lost Jenga once, and that was at Kenyon's. I think Ben has mostly lost Jenga.
I lose every game and I'm suspicious. You know, if you lose like, half the time, I feel like that's like, okay, you kind of suck at Jenga, but also like fine.
Have
If
you ever
you
lost Jenga, Angela? Of all the times that we've used it to decide?
I don't think she
I
has.
don't think
I
she
don't.
has.
Not for like at haunted
Yeah,
locations.
that's what I'm talking about.
Outside of haunted locations, I've lost many times. Her cat looks like a sugar cookie.
For the audio listeners, that's so random. Just the last line of the podcast is her cat looks like a sugar cookie. Just no context.
He's waving by.
Bye bye.
What a sugar cookie. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Paranormal Lens. If you liked what you heard, every 5-star rating and positive review tells the algorithms we're a worthy podcast and pushes us out to more listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll see you next Thursday for another paranormal deep dive.